5. Is sanity too much to ask for? Sometimes, because my duties take me all over the country, and have for years, I miss reading the daily newspapers. As a result, I miss some news now and then. Somewhere along the line, I must have missed news of an important congressional act repealing sanity, because there certainly seems to be more than a little hostility against it. Take this, for example. In the January 1981 issue of Harper's Magazine, Theodore Roszak calls attention to some prime examples of respectable insanity. One prominent psychotherapist told Roszak over lunch that people sleep and die only because they have been mistakenly programmed to believe they have to. Reprogram people, he held, and you can eliminate sleep and death and chalk up a victory for therapeutics. If this is psychotherapy, perhaps we're locking up the wrong people in our mental institutions. Now, obviously, God neither sleeps nor dies, but for man to suggest that we can do the same is to assume that man is a God who has not realized his potential. This is, of course, exactly what many people insist on declaring. Now, if man does not know that he is a man, a creature made by God, not by himself, and a creature who is born and will also die, then man cannot face any problem intelligently or realistically. If we begin with a false problem, we end up with false solutions. If we cannot face realistically some of the most elementary problems of human life, our lives are certainly headed for defeat, and our country too. No one who lives in terms of illusions can long be free. I once met a man who was under the illusion that he was the wealthiest rancher in his area. Actually, he had lost the little ranch he once owned. However, he believed that he had millions in the bank and regularly and generously wrote checks on his non-existent account. What his checks brought him were a return to the state mental hospital. There are, however, no mental hospitals for nations who live in terms of illusions. No one will take care of the United States in such case. The United States has fallen under this way of messianic delusions of saving the world with dollars, guns, and diplomacy, and this delusion is destroying us. Any man who plays God winds up, at best, a fool, but more likely in the scrap heap of life and history. We should not be surprised that the United States is governed by delusions when a prominent psychotherapist thinks we can program men out of sleeping and dying, and when so many of us live daily in terms of false hopes and active delusions. The world is not what we wish it might be, but what God makes it to be, and what our sins and shortcomings have brought it to be. We cannot change the world until we begin to live in terms of reality, God's reality, not our illusions. Are you living in the world of soap operas, television made or Washington made, or in terms of God's order